The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. I want you to imagine a scene that feels ripped from 3 different movies all stitched together. You've got the high-tension glamour of a Gothic revival castle in Toronto, shadows stretching across the stone, cut to a sun-drenched cliffside in Santorini, Greece, overlooking the agency, the absolute picture of romance. And finally, dissolved to the pulsating, sweat-soaked lights of a massive Las Vegas nightclub at like 3 in the morning.
It sounds like a disjointed screenplay, doesn't it? But it's actually the singular and, yes, somewhat insane trajectory of one man's life. We're talking about a guy who seemingly unlocked the cheat code to existence. He has the diamond-certified hit song that you've heard in every Uber since, 2017? He has the millions of dollars. He has the viral supermodel wife who constructs her own couture.
And as of yesterday, Saturday, January 17th, 2026, he has the ultimate next chapter. We're talking to the concept. He won everything. Welcome to StarScope Report.
It's great to be here.
So on this deep dive, our mission is pretty simple. We're taking a stack of articles, social media archives, and industry reports to uncover the mechanics behind Hollywood drama and music industry shakeups. We're not just looking at what happened, but how it happened.
Exactly. We want to understand the machinery behind the fame. And today is a perfect case study. We're looking at the intersection of massive global music fame and the high-speed world of viral fashion influence. It's the story of Loud Luxury's Andrew Fedyk and his wife, the fashion powerhouse Madeleine White.
On the surface, it looks perfect on Instagram. It's all aesthetics and sunsets. But we're digging into the insane trajectory of Andrew's life, from his university dorm room to a very recent and slightly gross controversy involving pink eye.
We will definitely get to the pink eye. It's a crucial lesson in brand management. But first, we have to start with the news that broke the internet literally yesterday.
Let's unpack this. Yesterday, January 17, 2026, Madeleine White and Andrew Fedyk officially announced they're expecting their first baby. They dropped a video titled, "Our Last Week Keeping the Secret."
And if you analyze the engagement on that video, it's just staggering. It was set to Drake's Nice for What, and visually it was a compilation of them dancing, holding ultrasound prints, shopping for tiny baby clothes. But what really stood out to me from a branding perspective was the caption. Madeleine wrote, "As a certified yapper, these last few months have been a prison." She also mentioned it was the hardest 14 weeks of their lives.
A prison. That's a strong word for keeping a happy secret.
But I suppose when your entire career is built on sharing, silence feels unnatural.
It's not just unnatural, it's bad for business. Her entire business model relies on this parasocial relationship where the audience feels like they know everything. She brands herself as a yapper, someone who talks constantly and transparently to her camera. So for her, silence isn't just difficult, it's off-brand. It creates a disconnect.
So having to withhold a major life event for over 3 months actually disrupts her content strategy. And honestly, the cracks in that strategy started showing weeks ago.
You're talking about the Hoop Snack leak? The Hoop Snack leak. This is a perfect example of how the modern internet works. Andrew posted something seemingly innocent on his story about Madeleine craving very specific hoop snacks. To a normal person, that's just a snack. To the internet detectives who have been consuming her content for years, that was a signal flare. They immediately commented, "She's pregnant."
It's wild how scrutinized they are. Madeleine's reaction was interesting, too. She later admitted, "I got so mad at Andrew for posting about this all, I knew he blew my cover." It highlights a really tricky dynamic. The Fedyk Fam brand relies on transparency, but that transparency makes actual privacy almost impossible.
It's the paradox of the influencer. You monetize your life, so your life becomes public property.
Yeah.
And the timeline here is just poetic. The baby is due in July 2026. If you're following the lore, that aligns perfectly with their 1-year wedding anniversary.
Which is just, storybook timing. But I want to pivot here. To understand why this baby news is such a massive deal, we have to zoom out. We have to look at who Andrew Fedyk actually is professionally. Because I think sometimes, especially on the fashion side of TikTok, he gets reduced to just being the influencer husband who holds the purse while she shops.
That is a huge misconception. The guy is a titan in his own right. Let's look at the empire before the baby. Andrew Fedyk is one half of the Canadian duo Loud Luxury. This didn't start in a corporate boardroom. It started in a dorm room. He met his partner, Joe DePace, at the University of Western Ontario back around 2011.
And they weren't music majors, were they?
No, political science students.
Yeah.
But the spark happened when they went to a Porter Robinson concert. And Porter Robinson is known for these very emotive, sort of cinematic electronic sets. They saw how Robinson connected with the crowd. It wasn't just playing music, it was an emotional transfer. That was the moment they decided we need to do that.
And that transition from wanting to do it to actually doing it is usually where people fail. But they managed to crack the code with the song Body.
We have to talk about Body, that song. I mean, you couldn't escape it. It was in every Uber, every gym, every H&M dressing room for about 3 years.
You really couldn't. And commercially, it's a juggernaut. It's diamond certified in Canada. That is extremely rare. To get a diamond certification, you're talking about sales and streams that dwarf a typical platinum record. It's multi-platinum in 9 countries. It has over 1.5 billion streams. But here's the key insight. Body gave them leverage. In the music industry, having one global smash hit allows you to command higher booking fees and better residencies for years. It's like an annuity.
And they capitalized on that. They aren't just one-hit wonders living off royalties. They parlayed that into a massive footprint in Las Vegas.
Right. They hold a massive residency with the TAO group. We're talking about playing Omnia, Hakkasan, Wet Republic. These are some of the most lucrative venues in the world for a DJ. In 2025, they signed a major deal with Republic Records and Casablanca. This isn't just DJing parties. This is a multi-million-dollar enterprise.
So let's look at the economics here. You have Andrew touring the world, commanding fees of presumably, what, $100,000 to $200,000 per show based on industry standards for that level. And then he comes home to live this viral domestic fairy tale with Madeleine. It's a collision of 2 massive economies.
It really is. He's part of the experience economy, nightlife, touring, live events. She is dominating the attention economy. Fashion weeks, TikTok views, brand deals. Now with the baby, they're merging these empires into a family unit. It's almost like a diversification strategy.
It sounds calculated when you put it that way, but obviously there's a romance there. Coming up, we're going to take you inside the wedding that Vogue called a dream and the insane amount of work Madeleine did herself that actually shocked the fashion world. But first, let's talk about how this romance actually started.
It's interesting because their romance is a very modern pandemic love story. They met in July 2020 in Los Angeles.
The era of masks and no large gatherings, which for a touring DJ must have been a career standstill.
Exactly. The clubs were closed. Touring was dead. They were set up by mutual friends. Their first date was at Barrique in Venice, then Saddle Ranch. Because the world was shut down, they didn't have the pressure of red carpets or touring immediately. They just had to be together in a very quiet world.
That foundation clearly worked. Fast forward to December 2023. Andrew decides to propose. And he takes it back to his roots in Toronto. He picks Casa Loma,
which is this stunning Gothic revival castle. It sets a very specific tone, classic, regal. But what I love about this proposal story is the practicality behind the romance. Andrew took Madeleine to design her own engagement ring months prior, in August.
His quote regarding that was, "Input goes a long way."
Which is incredibly smart. He knew that for a fashion influencer, the aesthetic details aren't just preferences, they're content. If the ring wasn't her, it damages the brand. Madeleine even made him promise to give her 1 hour of notice before the actual proposal so she could have a good outfit.
And he did. He surprised her at the castle, but gave her that window to get ready. That is true love in the digital age, making sure your partner is camera ready for the biggest moment of their life.
It sounds superficial to some, but it shows a deep respect for her work. He understands this moment will be shared with millions. But all of that was just the warm-up for the wedding of the year in July 2025.
Santorini, Greece, the Cavo Ventus villa, overlooking the Aegean Sea. I mean, the photos were everywhere. But we have to talk about the fashion, because this is where Madeleine truly flexed her skills.
She had multiple wardrobe changes, as you'd expect. The main gown was a Viktor and Rolf Spring 2023 piece. She had seen it on TikTok years before she was even engaged and, hunted it down. It was customized with 40 hand-appliqued butterflies.
But butterflies are her signature. But the part that blew my mind, and I think this is the insane part of the story, is the bridesmaids' dresses.
This is where Madeleine separates herself from just being a model or a mannequin. She didn't just buy dresses, she made them. She constructed baby blue corset dresses for every single one of her bridesmaids.
We are talking about 30 hours of labor per dress. And how many bridesmaids were there?
There were 5 bridesmaids, so that is 150 hours of hand embellishing and sewing while simultaneously planning a destination wedding in Greece.
Why do that? She has the money to buy anything she wants. Why torture yourself with that much labor?
Because it validates her brand. She calls herself a hobby seamstress, but that's underselling it. That's couture-level dedication. From a branding perspective, this was genius. It proved her legitimacy to the fashion world. She wasn't just wearing clothes, she was creating them. It anchored the wedding in her personal brand of DIY creativity. It gave her audience something to root for beyond just pretty rich people getting married. It was a project.
It created a narrative of effort, not just consumption. And the party itself. It lived up to the hype. She changed into a pink ombre Oscar de la Renta for the welcome party, a backless Berta for dinner, and then the after party.
Club Fedyk.
Club Fedyk on a secret beach. And she wore that pink chainmail dress from the Fendi x Versace collaboration.
Which was a brilliant callback. One of her first viral videos was recreating a 1999 Versace chainmail dress using cheap materials, so wearing the real thing at her wedding after party. That's narrative closure. It says, I made it.
And the entertainment. Natasha Bedingfield shows up to sing Unwritten.
A classic anthem.
But my favorite detail is Andrew. He had promised Madeleine he wouldn't work on his wedding day. He was supposed to take the night off.
But you can't keep a DJ away from the decks.
Exactly. He ended up going back-to-back with a contest winner, DJ Sweat Baby, spinning until 4:30 in the morning.
It just shows that their lives are their work, and their work is their life. They can't turn it off, even on their wedding day.
It sounds like a perfect life, doesn't it? The castle proposal, the Santorini wedding, the diamond records. But even the perfect couple has a scandal, and that's not even the wildest part. Stay tuned, because we need to discuss the pink eye incident that had the internet screaming.
If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Okay, we are back. We've covered the baby and the wedding. Now we have to do a reality check, because just a few months after that dream wedding, in November 2025, things got messy.
This is the pink eye controversy.
I still can't believe this was a real news cycle. So it's Madeleine's 30th birthday. They're in Orlando.
And she wakes up with conjunctivitis. Pink eye.
And not just random pink eye. She claimed she got it from Andrew, who gave himself pink eye using green makeup for our Halloween costume.
So you have a highly contagious eye infection. Public health logic would dictate you stay home, isolate, and recover.
You would think. But instead, she decides to go to a massive rave.
A crowded event. We're talking about 100,000 people packed shoulder to shoulder.
And she posts a video saying, and I quote, "I'm just going to cover it up with sparkles and a pair of sunglasses and call it a goddamn day."
That quote went viral for all the wrong reasons. The internet was furious, and frankly, they had a valid point. People were calling her irresponsible, pointing out that pink eye is incredibly contagious and close contact. It shifted the narrative from cute, relatable influencer to out-of-touch celebrity.
It was a PR nightmare. But what I find fascinating is that she chose to post it.
That is the crucial point. It highlights the double-edged sword of the Fedyk Fam brand we talked about earlier. They monetize transparency, they yap to the camera, but that same transparency exposes them when they make questionable health decisions. If she hadn't posted about it, no one would have known. She outed herself for content.
Right. She exposed herself. She later tried to laugh it off, posting about how pink eye is treated differently in the UK versus the US, trying to minimize the severity.
But the damage was done. It was a reminder that when you live your life as content, you invite the world to judge every single decision, from your wedding dress to your hygiene. It broke the illusion of perfection.
It's a wild contrast. 1 minute you're in vogue for hand-sewing couture, the next you're being roasted for potentially spreading bacteria at a rave.
But that is the insane life we're talking about. It oscillates between extreme glamour and chaotic reality, and honestly, that chaos helps the brand. If they were too perfect, people would get bored. The pink eye incident, as gross as it was, kept people talking.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring it back to the headline of this deep dive. He won everything.
If we look at Andrew Fedyk, he really has managed to synthesize these different worlds. He took a university hobby making beats in a dorm and turned it into a global music empire with loud luxury.
Then he marries a viral fashion superstar, creating this modern media dynasty.
And they've weathered the controversies. They survived the distance, the touring, and yes, even the pink eye backlash. And now they're entering fatherhood.
The power couple dynamic is undeniable. They blend music and fashion in a way that feels very 2026.
And this raises an important question about their future. With a baby on the way, the Fedyk fam is about to enter the momfluencer market. That is a lucrative space, but it is also a ruthless one.
Oh, for sure. The scrutiny on parenting is 10 times harder than the scrutiny on fashion. If they thought the pink eye backlash was bad, just wait until the internet has an opinion on their parenting choices.
Exactly. Will Madeline's DIY fashion ethos translate to baby clothes? Will we see her hand-sewing onesies? Or will the pressures of Andrew's touring schedule and the reality of parenting change the dynamic of their public perfection?
It's going to be fascinating to watch. Will they keep the baby offline to protect their privacy, or will the mini Fedyk become the newest star of the show?
Only time will tell. But given their track record of turning life into content, I expect it'll be documented, styled, and absolutely viral.
If you want to know which celebrity couple is next to take over your feed, hit that subscribe button.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.